Hi, this is Dmitry Bilgir, and I wanted to talk to you today briefly about the importance of staying in touch with your longings, with the things that are really important to you, with your priorities, with your, wow, if I only had one life to live, what would really be important to me to focus on and make happen? And the reason I'm talking about this is because it's really important. Being in touch with what you really care about, what you really long for, what your heart really is drawn to, sets the stage for everything that we do in our lives. It's the motivation. People often say to me, "Well, I don't have the motivation to do my daily practices, or I don't have the motivation to do things that are important to me." Well, you don't have the motivation because you've lost touch with what it is you really long for. You've lost touch for how your heart really calls to go in a certain direction. They set the stage for taking action. So, yes, you need to be in touch with your heart's deepest longings so you can take action from them. But the problem that shows up is that problems show up. You say, okay, I really long for something. Like, I really long to be fit and healthy. For me, I have a longing to be really light on my feet. But the problem is, problems show up. It turns out I like eating things that make me heavier. It turns out I often don't feel like exercising. It turns out there's stuff that's in between me and my longings. There's stuff that's in between you and your longings. So here's what tends to happen. Here's the trap we fall into. Here's the deal we make with ourselves that we really shouldn't make. And as we say, okay, I won't look too much at what I really long for. So I don't have to look too much at how upsetting it is that I don't have it. So I'd say, I'm not going to really think about how I really want to be at my ideal weight. Because if I face that, I have to face how upsetting it is that I'm not there. So I'm not going to look at that so I don't have to face how upset I am. And what we do is we get in this life where we feel like we'll deal with it later, some other time, and we live a life that doesn't really work. It doesn't really get you what you're after. So I'm just here today to really push you towards the idea that it's worth it to be moving in the direction of what it is you most care for. It's worth it to say, here are the two things I care about the most. I don't know how I'm going to get there, and maybe it upsets me to even admit that I want these things, but I do. And with life being temporary, I need to really focus on that. So think about, what are the two things you really care about? The two things that your heart really longs for. Maybe you've given up on. And let yourself today really feel how you want those things. Because that'll start you down the path of dealing with what's in between you and getting those things. I don't bring this up to bring up something upsetting. I bring it up because it's important. I want you to have the life you really long for. And if that's going to happen, you're going to have to admit you really long for what you really long for. That's the first step. So, this is Dmitry Bilgir, signing off.